All right, we're rolling. Welcome back to Appalachia. Chuck Core joined as always. Big John Eisner. This is another one of our episodes that we're putting out while we are out. We're going to be doing a special little change up here this week. We're going to be talking about an Appalachian legend today, mixing things up a little bit. We're going to be talking about the legendary abolitionist John Brown. But before we get into that, John, I understand that you have some announcements.
Yeah, announcements as always. Pretty easy stuff. Don't forget, check out patreon.com/appalachia, appalachia.com, our TeePublic store, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course our Discord. And don't forget, if you're old school and want to send us a letter, it's P.O. Box 2466, Parkersburg, West Virginia 26102. But the big announcement is that the giveaway returns again this week, so make sure that you go and you get in on that just by retweeting and following. That's it. It's that simple. And hey, if you're one of those people that say, why are you doing this on Twitter? Look, it's free to sign up. Just go make an account and retweet it. That's literally all you got to do. And then you're entered.
All you got to do.
So, yeah. So we'll keep it short and sweet because, to be honest, we're on vacation right now and we should be taking a break.
Short, sweet announcements. We like it like that. Somebody who lived maybe not as short and sweet of a life, but definitely a very meaningful one. John Brown, legend of Appalachia, controversial figure, I would argue, in many circles. Who knows? Depends on, how you view things. We tend to like him here on Appalachia. And in fact, we've talked about him at length, at least a little bit, in one of our Drunk Appalachian Histories. Put in a quick plug for that. We do them every month on Patreon. We're going to be doing a spooky Halloween-themed one this month, so look out for that. But yeah, so we talked about John Brown then, and we wanted to go in deep a little bit on this, because this guy is really important, and I feel like, and I want to get your opinion on this, I feel like a lot of people, especially outside of West Virginia particularly, and outside of Appalachia, don't really know much about John Brown.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I also think not only do they not know much, I think when they hear the name, because they don't know much, they assume something bad. Because as an old dude, a historical figure, so you think this guy, you hear that name and you're like, oh yeah, it's one of those guys who own slaves and shit. Like it automatically goes to that.
Yeah, I mean, old white guy from the Civil War era, pretty good chance that he was a piece of shit. I mean,
right, like a fair guess. I'm not holding against you, but that's I think the thing people go to first.
Sure, and generic white guy named John Brown doesn't really stick out like an Abraham Lincoln or like a Millard Fillmore, so to speak.
Yeah, or like a
but John Brown, or like John Eisner. Sorry, I always get you confused with the tennis player.
Hold on real quick. I got a DM, okay, just maybe 2 or 3 days ago, okay, and it was like the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me about how they like looked up to me and how they have essentially kind of modeled themselves after me and their tennis game. And
they probably saw your picture with Mick Foley and it's like, oh, it makes sense, two famous people.
Yeah, so anyway, they sent me that, so I had to tweet back, wrong guy. Or I had to DM back, wrong guy.
I think you can take solace in the fact that, just imagine how many people have DM'd John Eisner
about me.
The opposite thing.
Yep.
About you, exactly.
I think about that too.
Inspired by your run in the 59th. I'm so glad you finally got the blue check mark. Seems like you're playing a lot of tennis nowadays. That's cool.
Well,
it's good to stay
great,
in shape.
Man. Yeah, it's great. I love how much you've really taken that weight loss to heart. And and we knew you'd stand up straighter. You're 6'11" now.
Is he really 6'11"?
He's huge, dude. He's like,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he's way tall. He might be like 6'8", but he's super tall.
Damn. Well, I know that we're not talking about
John Brown
or John Eisner, but damn, what another impressive figure in his own right.
Nah, he's
John
a dick.
Brown though. Couple of okay, well there you go. Speaking of big dicks though, John Brown had a massive dick, as we talked about in Drunk History. No, okay, so I consider John Brown to be kind of like the John Rambo of abolitionists, if I may, sort of a renegade, if you will, a kind of like Michael Jordan from Space Jam. In a way, because look, he rounded up a band of I mean, not your A team, so to speak, but they did what they had to do, and they went up against the Monstars. Now, a little bit of a different ending in those, but we won't get into that right now. Also, John Brown, worth noting, kind of a shitty dad, which we'll find out more about. But nobody's perfect, right?
Yeah. Not a great dad.
Not a great dad. It's hard to be a good dad and single-handedly take down the institution of slavery. So I will give him a bit of a pass.
But his kids won't.
Well, no, they will not, and you will find out why, especially for one of them.
Yeah.
But he had a lot. Do you want to take a guess at how many that he had?
He had a lot of kids. 8.
Higher.
10.
Higher.
15.
Higher.
20.
20 kids.
Wow.
This dude had 20 goddamn kids.
Does it say like how many women that include, or like
I don't remember. At least 2, probably more. TBD. I'll have to go back and dig into the Ancestry.com.
That's a lot of kids for 2.
I mean, there was not a lot to do.
That's true. We thought quarantine was bad.
I don't even know if they had condoms then. I really don't. So,
I doubt
especially
it.
if you're Catholic, you didn't have a choice.
Oh, there you go.
But a couple more things just before we get started here. This is a serious point. He did have a way of influencing whatever community he was part of, and that's actually a really important through line about John Brown. And I think one of the reasons why he was so successful and so notable and so interesting. The general gist of his life is basically him uprooting his family to the next great hotbed of abolitionist activity. This was his whole driving force in life, and you could tell, and his family, for better or worse, had to go along with it. So, let's get into part 1 of this. Life before killing racists, I like to call it. BKR, before killing racists. So... yeah, well, I tried. There is one thing that many people don't talk about with John Brown, and John, you'll find this interesting, and I call it the fucked up eye of destiny. Would you believe that an inflamed eye paved the course of history for John Brown?
Why is that? No, I would not believe that.
Well, you should, because we talked about it in Drunk History.
I try not to give this shit away, Chuck.
I mean, I know. I'm just I'm breaking the fourth wall now.
It's called acting.
I'm an actor.
It
was performative lying is what it was. No, okay. So he wanted to originally be a minister. He was raised in a very religious household. Wanted to be a minister for a really long time. So he started at a seminary type college, right? But he got an inflamed eye, and in that day and age, an inflamed eye basically meant you were fucked. Like, now you could probably take some Clear Eyes, maybe go to the doctor, get a couple drops, put some steroids in that, and be good to go. But this was like a life-altering ailment for him, if you can imagine. And if you got an inflamed, messed up eye, you're not going to be able to read those books. You're definitely not going to be able to read the Bible. So he couldn't study, and that changed the course of his life forever.
That's
John,
insane.
imagine if you couldn't study, what would you be doing?
Well, I'd fail the bar.
That's fair point.
If I couldn't study, I would probably have still finished law school, because that sounds about right.
Nailed it.
Anyway, yeah. It would be pretty shitty. I mean that just sucks.
Yeah, and I mean, this wasn't the days where he was like a jock who could pay some kid to do his homework for him, especially about Jesus, because Jesus wouldn't know. This is, and I think this is a really important event. Again, historians don't focus on this a lot, but I do think that it changed the course of history for him. So he went home, and he started tanning some hides, John, in more ways than one. His dad worked at a tannery.
Okay.
Or excuse me, his dad owned a tannery. Do you know what a tannery is?
I have no idea what it is.
Want to take a guess? Give it a shot.
What's that?
Shoot your shot. I believe in you.
A tannery. What is that place? what's it called? Like
Mother Earth Foods.
Yeah, that's it. No, a tanning bed place.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were just kind of really reaching their peak in the 1800s. Tanning beds, tanning salons, supposedly. But no, they didn't have any where John Brown lived. Sorry, and I believe Connecticut.
Is that where like? Actually, I have no idea. What is it? Just tell me.
Tannery. Okay, so this is an old-timey thing. I don't really think they exist for very much anymore, unless it's at like Fort New Salem or some shit. A tannery is a place where skins are processed. Essentially.
Damn it! That's what I was about to guess, and I thought it was stupid.
Which, if you think about it, kind of like a tanning salon.
Damn, I was literally about to say it. Like when I said, "Oh, never mind," I thought I was gonna guess that. I was like, "Nah, this is really stupid. There's no way."
I mean, look, like I said, shoot your shot. Do it this episode. Who knows what'll happen? You might look like a genius. We can edit this so you will be a genius.
All right, nice.
So, tannery, that's where, like, you take the hide of, like, a cow or something and you tan the hide into leather. It involves a process where you basically alter the protein structure of the skin. You put it out to dry, make it more durable,
right.
All that shit. Anyway, it's a big type of business back then. And so he got back and, John Brown, motivated guy, right? Very motivated. He's not just going to be some tanner and training under his dad. He worked briefly at his dad's tannery, but he got so fucking good at it that he told his dad to fuck off, and he started his own business.
Wow.
That's fucking ruthless. That's like some Succession shit right there.
It really is.
Honestly.
I mean, you're right. That incredible. Hey, ruthless businessman. That you can add that to the list too.
To make it more relatable to you, John, this is like if Bonnie told you to go fuck yourself, then took over your part of the podcast.
Honestly, that's possible.
Yeah, I mean, look, people love dogs, and I mean, who knows? There might be a demand for it. So he lived in a bachelor pad with his adopted brother and business partner, but had, quote, a widow baking his bread.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I'm going to leave it up to the listener to choose whether to interpret that literally or metaphorically. John Brown was the master at the art of persuasion and convinced this woman not just to bake his goddamn bread, but he convinced her to move in with him and bring her daughter and move in with him.
Now I remember this story.
How could you? We've never told
Oh,
her.
yeah, shit.
I mean, what?
It's acting.
Acting.
You never know where I'm going to be.
Yeah, that's right. It's like, it's reverse psychology.
Yeah.
So basically, let's set the scene here. He essentially takes over his dad's business, tells him to go fuck himself, maybe gives him a golden parachute, early retirement, meets this woman, has him baking his shit, has him move in with him, to take care of the house, brings her daughter along too. Here's the best part. Then he fucked and married her daughter.
And, dude, he just betrays the people who trust him.
What is that? What was that show? The Pickup Artist. I feel like John Brown is like the Civil War era of the pickup artist.
I guess he sounds like
and that's not a compliment.
Every person on like Tinder, they just lie about everything. I'm assuming. You see that Catfish show?
Well, John,
is that what it is?
I mean, it's pretty old, but yeah. No, I watch Catfish all
He
the
would
time.
catfish people, I bet. I bet that's what John Brown would do.
He'd catfish the shit out of them. Yeah, he'd put his face. He'd use like a face from a milk carton and put it in a personal.
He'd use Lincoln so people thought he was more important. He's so sick of people
Honestly,
not remembering who he is.
Look at his fucking. He's got the same jaw structure.
Oh, it's
as
insane.
Lincoln.
Yeah.
For those of you who are listening, I'm gesturing to behind me because in the video recording, if you go on YouTube, check it out. I've got a poster of John Brown, and honestly, you could see it. You could see him looking like Lincoln
A little bit.
Yeah.
So
where were we? Oh, yes. So he fucked and married her daughter, Dianthe, I think is how you pronounce it. And this was, again, John Brown, kind of an asshole. Mm-hmm. All right? I'm just going to lay it out here. Like, hero worship aside, nobody's perfect, all right? Described Dianthe as, quote, remarkably plain but neat, industrious, and an economical girl of excellent character, earnest piety, and practical common sense. Honestly, It's nicer than what a lot of guys say
Dude,
in the present day.
he described her like a Kia Sorento. It's it's practical. It's reliable.
It's got the best warranty in the country, but at what cost?
Right, that dude. He described her like a Kia Sorento.
He's like, yeah, this Diane, she got 10-year, 100,000 miles on her, but
oh shoot.
no, I mean, it's like this dude. You will realize. And again, we generally like John Brown. I think he stood for all the right things when it comes to slavery. But he was very into
Yes,
himself,
he was.
and that was abundantly clear. But I mean, hot take on her. So they were deeply okay. So this is actually where we get into the 20 kids thing. They were deeply religious, and they just started pumping out kids. And that's we move on. So they start pumping out kids. There you go. Which is something that is honestly not very common nowadays. Because it's so goddamn.
I was about to
expensive.
say that.
See,
yeah.
he didn't have
to.
He didn't have to pay for
yeah,
child
that's
support.
exactly right.
He didn't have to pay for childcare. He'd just go find another random woman and convince her to come live at his house.
Can you watch my kids too?
Yeah, I got some hides I got to tan. Get on in here. Bake my bread. Anyway, we'll cut some of that. I say this in jest, but really he is an asshole.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what a part of the section I like to call Postmaster Brown and his interstate bovine conglomerate. Not only was he an accomplished abolitionist, but he was quite the ingenious businessman. Mm-hmm. So he moved his family to Pennsylvania because it would be a safer location for fugitive slaves. This is where we kind of get into talking about his overall goal in life, which was to abolish slavery. He's already pissed off about it, rightly so. And so what does he do? Well, he made so much money from tanning hides, which should have gone to school for that he bought a 200 fucking acre farm, cleared an eighth of it, built a fucking cabin and a 2-story tannery with a secret slave escape room and a goddamn barn, because what the fuck else do you do in 1825?
Yeah, you're not going to build anything else.
No, and I mean, honestly, if he was able to, can you imagine building a barn and a 2-story house in that day? It'd be fucking hard.
It's hard today.
It'd take forever,
It's hard today.
It is hard today, and it's expensive, and then, you got to deal with contractors and shit, which he just, had them bake their bread and shit. But, so, what I did think was interesting is an actual fact, and actually all this is, but, so he built this, and if you think about Pennsylvania, and I believe this is like northern Pennsylvania, so it's probably pretty close to, let me think, like the Great Lakes or like New York, so not terribly far away from Canada. Mm-hmm. He helped about 2,500 slaves escape to Canada while he was living out of this place, because remember, he had a secret slave escape room. Okay, so put yourself in John Brown's position, all right? You got it all. You got this 2-story house. You've got this tannery. You've got this, like, a slave underground railroad system.
You have an army of children.
Even, I mean, like, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Like, he literally, he has enough for 2 starting lineups in basketball and an entire bench.
Space Jam.
Right. I mean, he literally 5-on-5 with 5 people on each bench.
And he played them like that, too. And he said, there's no 6th man in this fucking house.
Bake that bread. That's the crowd. That's their chant. Bake that bread. Bake that bread.
Dad, I'm 12.
Dad,
you act like you're 33, goddammit. I just imagine he sounded like Duke Nukem when he talked to him.
Yeah.
So you would think that this satisfied his ambitions. I mean, that's pretty successful, right?
Right.
You got bored.
Yeah.
So his dick was still hard from building shit that he decided to build the town's first post office, because why not? Somehow bumblefucked his way into being named the first Postmaster General of Randolph, Pennsylvania. Put that feather in his cap. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's cool, I guess, yeah.
Most people don't know this shit.
I didn't know it before.
Yeah, that's right. This is actually pretty OG. He refused to serve in the militia due to the success of his interstate cow and leather business.
Wow.
Because of course, when he was busy being postmaster general, he was also running his interstate bovine conglomerate on the side.
Man, he was killing it.
Literally,
I realized
he
too.
was killing.
I realized too, like if John Brown was alive in the 80s, that arc on I-68 would have got done.
Oh shit! Oh, that thing would have been. That thing would have made 6 or 7 safe passages across the ocean at this point.
He would have built it and sailed it. Like that's the time. I mean, that's what he would have done.
Yeah, and he would have had his 20 kids built.
Yeah, I mean, come on, this guy gets it.
And then he would have built a fucking tannery in it.
Yeah, he would have.
Honestly, that's a great fucking point. That's a great point. He would have had that ark built.
Yeah.
God damn. If only.
If only.
Well, if we ever figure out how to resurrect people, that's the first thing we're gonna have to do.
I've got ideas.
So he's been, I don't want to say trafficking fugitive slaves, but I don't know what other word you have for it, helping them escape, I guess. And he starts to really become motivated to end this because it's obviously not good enough just to help slaves escape. You're never going to be able to help them all escape. You have to abolish slavery. So in 1829, I thought this was kind of an interesting story I wanted to share. Some white families asked John Brown, to help them drive off Native Americans who hunted annually in the area. And Brown, being an OG, said, quote, "I would sooner take my gun and help drive you out of this goddamn country." Which was fucking awesome. Objectively. Like, this guy knew how to fucking lay it down.
Dude, he did not care. He just told it how he felt, man.
In a way, he's kind of like a more violent Bernie Sanders.
Kinda, yeah.
Hardened in his beliefs. Unwavering. But I don't think Bernie Sanders has ever killed anyone. That we know of.
That we know of.
That we know of. He's a mysterious guy.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, Dianthe died during childbirth at some point, so he had to find another wife. He later, a year later, didn't waste too much time because you gotta get more kids going. He married 17-year-old Mary Ann Day. At the time, he was 34.
Wow.
So twice her age.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I said,
wow.
A little sketchy. I'll throw that out there. A little sketchy.
A little bit.
So altogether, this is another funny point. She was the younger sister of Brown's housekeeper at the time.
This guy. He literally does not care.
Well, in the law, you would call this a pattern of behavior because if you recall, Dianthe was the daughter of his quote-unquote housekeeper.
Wow. Yeah,
his
you're
first
right.
wife.
You're right.
So he's got a thing.
Wow, that's incredible.
Again, this is what we do on this show. We peel back the layers of this complex Appalachian
It's like an onion. Yep, it's like an onion.
That's right. That's what we're here for. So, Mary Ann Day and John Brown all together had 13 children. I think that makes up part of the 20, which Brown claimed he was excited that 7 of them were boys who would, of course, help him abolish slavery. So as soon as these kids come out, he looks, and he's like, got a dick? All right, they're going to help me end slavery.
Yeah, that's how he did it.
Very, like I said, asshole, very transactional guy. So, John, when you get tired of living in Pennsylvania, where do you move?
You move to the great state of Virginia.
Incorrect.
Oh. I don't know.
Give it another shot.
West Virginia. Was West Virginia state then? I don't think they were.
No, they were not.
Okay.
Not.
That's
but
why I guess.
I'll give you a hint. This
Kentucky.
This is where the founder of one of the greatest restaurant chains in America.
Ohio.
Damn straight. What restaurant chain is that?
Oh, Guy Fieri's.
man, there is a flaw in what I just said because you're technically not.
I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong.
Is that where the guy who created Wendy's is from?
Also, I think you're technically correct. But that wasn't where I was. I do think Dave fucking Thomas is from.
I hope he is.
Oh wait, no, he's from Atlantic City.
Damn it. Okay.
All
right.
I actually did think that he was from Ohio. Well, he's buried in. He lived in Ohio.
That's what it is. Yeah.
God damn it.
That was kind of close. All right.
The first Wendy's was in Columbus, Ohio.
See, if you fucking data latch this shit, we got a shot.
We could do an entire episode on what fucking restaurant chains are from Ohio.
Yeah. Bob Evans, right?
Well, Robert Evans, that's right. Home of the Sunshine Skillet and a budding abolitionist.
Yep.
So, he moved to Ohio to build another tannery because, once you have two, you got to have more.
Mm-hmm.
And like many people, he began what is known as his corporate sellout phase, where he became a bank director. Again, there are some parts of John Brown that we don't like. But he made the equivalent of $500,000.
Wow.
He lost it all, though.
Oh.
I don't know how.
Gambling.
Possibly.
I believe it.
Probably. Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, he is.
So
he kind of was an egomaniac, so maybe he was really into that.
Yeah, maybe he didn't even think he needed money. He just buried it somewhere.
Oh! What if he buried it right under the courthouse in Charlestown, and that is how they brought a casino there? It's all coming together.
It's all coming together. Holy shit. Again, these are things these are stones that have yet to be unturned by society and by historians.
Yep.
I think we need to really get somebody from the Charlestown races and slots on the show to debunk this mystery.
I think we have to. We have to get somebody from there.
Yeah.
Get somebody. I mean, we got to dig that up. Might just be there.
Might just be. We might just need to fund the podcast with it.
Right. I mean, that's what John Brown would have wanted.
He would have. He would have been.
He would have wanted to fund this podcast. He would have. And if you want to, if you want to help fund this podcast, go to patreon.com/outpodlatcha. Help us as we continue to grow. And don't forget, tpublic.com, search outpodlatcha. You'll be able to find it. What a great plug. Thank you so much, John Brown.
Anyway, John Brown's Wawa phase, white abolitionist with attitude. He's having a midlife crisis, lost all his money from being a bank director, really looking to scratch that ambitious itch. And he's got his hands full with all these kids. So he was coping with a midlife crisis, and so while he was doing that, a very important white abolitionist named Elijah P. Lovejoy was murdered in 1837. This kick-started a rage phase. In response to this, and with a primal yelp, I assume, Big John Brown, this is when he becomes Big John Brown, declared, quote, "Here before God in the presence of these witnesses," it's unclear who those witnesses were, "from this time I consecrate my life to the destruction of slavery."
Wow.
And to rock and roll. No, just slavery.
I just imagine Stone Cold
and
music hitting. As he walks out.
So, John, have you ever witnessed something that made you consecrate your life towards something like John Brown did?
No.
Nothing sticking out.
Nothing fun to talk about. But I guess slavery's not fun to talk about either.
Probably not, no. I didn't know if you want to make something up. Do a little improv.
I have no improv on this one.
Who would have to be killed for you to consecrate your life towards something? Not family members, that doesn't count. Somebody famous.
Some Mick Foley.
Okay. Okay, all right. So, what would then your consecration be?
I'm gonna take that person, and throw him off Hell in a Cell. And if you know
Okay,
McFoley, you know what that means.
I don't. And for our audience and the benefit of people listening,
All right.
what is Hell in
Hold
the
on.
Cell?
All right, this is McFoley. If you're watching this, this is McFoley
If you're listening, it is an action
of
figure
McFoley.
of a man
This is
with a tie.
This is McFoley. That's Mr. Sacco.
Okay.
All right. Pretend this is a big cage of metal around the ring.
It's Mason
Yeah.
Jerry's holding.
So he's up here. Undertaker,
standing on top of the Mason
Undertaker,
jar.
a very professional, very professional, very well-known professional wrestler, throws McFoley off of, I think it's like 12 or 13 feet off this
the Mason jar.
onto the announcer's table. He breaks through, and Jim Ross says the number one thing in wrestling ever, where he goes, "By God, I think he's broken in half."
So imagine that. Wait, was it Mick Foley throwing the
No,
Undertaker?
vice versa.
It was under. So imagine. Shit, this comparison doesn't work. Then I was gonna say, imagine that John Brown is the Undertaker and Slavery is Mick Foley.
So he threw Slavery.
But that doesn't really fit because you are then going after the Undertaker.
I guess that's fair.
Fuck. So okay. So let's imagine that that Mick Foley in this example is Elijah P. Lovejoy, and white slave owners are the Undertaker, and Hell in the Cell is just the American South.
Okay.
There you go. I think we close the loop on that.
Literally everyone's confused.
Yeah, landed that plane. It skid off the runway, Spirit Airlines. Okay, cool. So, John Brown, never the one to sit around and rest on his laurels, so to speak, felt very motivated by this murder of Elijah P. Lovejoy, and he decided to journey to the land of woke massholes. He moved to Massachusetts. He set a series of bankruptcies and setbacks, and kids dying. It turns out some of his kids died of dysentery, Oregon Trail style. Got him thinking he should get the fuck out of Ohio. Understandable at that point. So he moved to Springfield, Massachusetts with his quote-unquote business partner, Simon, but not his wife and their kids.
What you're saying, quote unquote, what are there rumors? Is that what?
No, but I am taking the context of it, and I mean, he sounded like he was very close. I'm not going to try and imply anything. It sounded like they were close. I don't know. But anyway, he moved there with his business partner, not his wife, and not their billion kids. I don't know why. I think just because he really wanted to get the fuck out of Ohio, and they were like, no, we don't want to move, across fucking Midwest to go to Massachusetts. The reason he did, though, was because the community itself was very emotionally invested in abolition, which Brown loved and got his ambitious dick hard. And so he was moving to where the woke people were. He gets there, and this is when, his, I guess you could call it radicalization started. He attended a black church and, in fact, became a parishioner and witnessed the abolitionist lectures from people like Frederick Douglass and Sojourner Truth. And basically, he sat down with Fred Doug and convinced him that this shit was going to get lit. And what I mean by that is that people were going to have to die. This was not going to, slavery was not going to be ending in a peaceful manner. It had to be violent. John, your thoughts thus far?
This guy is all over the place because you want...
Literally.
That's true. But you want to root for him, and then he goes and does something shitty like scum dad shit, and then you're like, well shit, I can't root for him. And then you already know the end to this story, so you're like, well shit, he's gonna end slavery, so I kinda have to root for him.
Yeah, it's a classic tale of I don't know. I was gonna say an underdog. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
I don't think I was gonna say I don't think he's an underdog. He's
it's
kind
like
of an egomaniac, and has he had a lot of things go his way.
He did. It's kind of like a lot of powerful people, I guess. A lot of them are egomaniacs. I think you kind of have to be. Like several American presidents.
I say that to people all the time too. Like, everybody wants to pretend like, oh, there are some politicians who are special, right? No, every politician, no matter who, if they're a successful politician, has an ego, and they love to have it stroked. 100%, because you cannot be a successful politician without an ego. You can't, because the entire time that you're running this, you're trying to convince people why you're good, why you're special,
while also telling them that this campaign is
right.
About us.
It is a healthy, unhealthy balance actually of you propping yourself up while also being like, "Kumbaya, everyone."
Yeah, I mean, look, you look at any politician, some of them have bigger egos than other. Joe Manchin. But yeah, you're right. I mean, and look, and I mean, John Brown, who's to say if he would have survived the Harper's Ferry raid, spoiler alert, that he wouldn't have gone on to be a politician? I think he probably would have.
I would assume. I mean,
although I think his goal was to die for the cause. Like, I think he wanted to be a martyr, I guess is my point.
Okay. Well, I mean, I get what you're saying, though. Like, I don't know. He definitely could have been a politician, I think.
Yeah, well, because he was good at rallying people and, like getting them on his side and building communities around people. I mean, look, he walked into a black church and became a parishioner. Right?
Like,
as a white guy.
Like, the guy he was able to talk to anybody, and he was able to convince them that he should be trusted.
Yeah, he was a talented guy, really was. And this is why, like, he was able to do what he did. So there was a couple other events that I want to just briefly mention before we get into Bloody Kansas that kind of helped form this sort of radicalized persona of John Brown. This is one thing I call the reverse Handmaid's Tale, which is when the U.S. passed the Fugitive Slave Act in 1850, which, for those of you who don't know, mandated authorities in free states aid in return for escaped slaves and imposed penalties on those who aided them in their escape. It's one of the worst laws ever passed by the United States Congress in the history of our country. Big John Brown said, "Hold my goddamn beer. This is bullshit." Founded a militant group to prevent the recapture of fugitives. So this is kind of like, it was called the League of Gileadites, I believe. Which was interesting because Gilead in Handmaid's Tale is the name of the theocratic society they live in. Anyway, that's not important. But so he moves his family again. He gets out of Massachusetts, goes back, moves them literally to Timbuktu, and he was still broke, but he was also very motivated. And this is where you get into one of the more famous or infamous, however you want to frame it, things of John Brown's history prior to Harper's Ferry, which is Bloody Kansas. Prize fighter John Brown's undisputed championship. The Mike Tyson of his day, I hear.
Pretty close. Modern day Holyfield.
Didn't he lose that fight, though? I mean, he got his
but John Brown eventually loses.
That's a good point. Yeah, that is a good point. Although Evander Holyfield eventually accepted Mike Tyson's apology, but
crazy. Why would you? I'm sorry. Why would you ever accept that apology?
No, be like, that's cool, man. And yeah, I'm, take this for what it's worth because you did rape someone and served time in prison for it. But sure, you bit off my ear. Yeah, we're cool, man. Incredible. But John Brown, so we're bloody Kansas. This is 1854. John Brown is 54 years old at this point. He's got adult sons at this point, so kind of setting the table there for you. This is what I call Angry John. John Brown had adult sons tanning some hides in Kansas. So they're all over the damn country. And they said that they weren't prepared to take on pro-slavery forces. So there was there's starting to be like dust-ups and conflicts at this time. So Big John, he was always horny for rebellion, said, "Fuck it, we're moving to Kansas."
Not just rebellion.
And so, yeah, right, and tanning hides. Two things very consistent throughout his time. So John Brown, one of the reasons why he moved to Kansas, he thought Kansas could be moved in the direction of anti-slavery. He saw opportunity there, and he was absolutely jacked up and pissed off about this guy named Preston Brooks. And this is something you'll remember, John.
I thought you were going to say Preston Blake. Do you know who that is?
No.
Have you ever seen Mr. Deeds?
It's been a long time. But yeah.
Preston Blake was his uncle that died. Blake Industries or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. No, Preston Brooks, who caned an anti-slavery senator by the name of Charles Sumner on the floor of the Senate. You remember, there was a United States senator who was caned to death, meaning that somebody else took a cane and beat the fuck out of him until he died on the Senate floor.
Jesus Christ.
Can you imagine that today?
Is that how we got the Penguin for Batman?
Probably based
but
off
was
of
an umbrella.
Preston
Wasn't
Brooks.
his an umbrella? So never mind. Maybe.
I mean, it functioned. He had a cane too, didn't he?
Yeah, but I think
it was an umbrella.
Yeah, but weird anyway. I'm off my rocker today. Okay, that makes sense. The whole cane.
What, that
thing.
he got caned on the Senate floor?
Yeah. Also, why do we not? Why don't they teach this? Because this would keep me enthralled with history.
Yeah, right. This is a fucking gangland murder in the fucking Houses of Congress.
Right. Like, come on. Why are we not talking about this?
It's like this. It's like Breaking Bad, 1800 style.
Yeah.
Except instead of meth, it's slavery.
Do you think before he hit him with the cane that he said something like really cool? Like,
oh man, what would it be?
I'm just thinking in my head like like you watch like old movies and they always like say something really cool before they punch him or whatever.
Hasta la vista, baby.
So I just figured like that's really old. So they probably did it then too. Like,
yeah, I think you're right.
Kane, you feel this? And then he hits him.
Kane. What? I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
I can't hear you.
What's a tropical weather event that occurs on the East Coast? A hurricane. That might have been way.
What's your favorite?
I don't even know if they knew.
What's your favorite type of sugar? Cane.
Jesus. Or it would have been something like, "Oh, tan this hide."
Who's gonna be mayor one day? Kane.
That is looking into the crystal ball in the future.
That's with a K though, so that's kind of cheating.
That is true. I mean, I'll allow it.
Right.
Phonetically, it sounds the same. No, I think you're right. I think I think that our listeners should submit what they think was Preston Brooks's last words before caning Charles Sumner to death. And yeah, make light of a brutal topic. Okay, so John Brown, he heard about this, and he was like, "The fuck." And basically, and I mean, you can't blame him for this, if somebody's getting caned to death on the United States Senate floor, shit's gotten real quick. This is like January 6th on steroids. So he saw this increasingly violent rhetoric of pro-slavery people as motivation to get violent, and it's like, well, yeah, I can see why you'd feel that way.
Many argue, I mean, I actually heard this the other day, somebody compare what John Brown went through, or what how he thought to what people are starting to think now, which I think is very scary.
Yeah, J.D. Vance said that.
Did he really?
He referenced John Brown with respect to something. It may not have been exactly that, but it was something. I was pissed off about it.
He sucks.
But yeah, because like that was sort of because John Brown essentially was part of an insurrection in a way, and but that was over the ownership of black people versus this was a election that was not stolen.
Yep. But anyway, yikes.
I mean, potato, right?
Right, that's what they think.
That's right. And you know what else they think about is the Potawatomi Massacre. This is what I consider John Brown Rambo's first blood. So this is really where he wet his whistle. He contracted a bloodlust that turns out was never quenched. Brown got his first taste of real, true, authentic pro-slavery blood in the Sunflower State of Kansas. He thought that the anti-slavery people's response to the sacking of Lawrence was weak, and I believe that's what it was called. And they were a bunch of pussies, essentially, was what he said.
Wow.
And they'd sucked. I can't say pussies.
Nope.
I got to get rid of that. And he said that they were weak. He said that the anti-slavery people were weak, essentially,
Okay.
and there wasn't a good response to the caning and all this. So on May 23rd, him and his boys encamped that night between two deep ravines on the edge of the timber and remained unobserved until the following evening. After dark, Big John and his crew conducted a coordinated strike, is what I'll call it. They went to the house of a guy named James P. Doyle. P stands for pathetic. I don't know. I don't know what it's probably Paul. I don't know. They're like
boring like that.
Christian names at this point. It's like, did you see where like they identified the Zodiac killer and the guy's name was Gary?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's Gary. We got him.
We got old Gary.
Old Gare Bear.
Oh man, that guy should have got.
He's a wily one.
He should have got caned.
Yeah, I mean, you fucking should have. They would have found him.
Fair.
I'm sure they would have caned the shit out of him.
But they can't catch him.
Ah!
Anyway,
Can't catch me.
Can't
I'm
catch
the Zodiac.
me.
It's Ted Cruz the whole time.
Yep.
So after dark, they go to this guy, this James P. Doyle. He was a very pro-slave guy, and John Brown and his crew ordered him, James, and his two adult kids to go with them as prisoners. He left the wife and the young son, and then they killed them with swords.
Oh my God!
Based as fuck. Big John didn't have a sword. Big John didn't sword anyone, but he fired a shot into the head of one of the sons to ensure that he was dead. So this is a historical discrepancy. He didn't actually kill someone, allegedly. Here.
Oh boy.
And he had his sons do it for him. So this is, again, shitty dad. If you're going to tell him to do something, lead by example, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. I mean, what's your take on that? I mean, should he have led by example, or does he let the kids take the fall for it?
I don't think that I want the Minnesota Board of Law Examiners.
All right, we'll ignore that question.
To hear any
murder one, murder two. I mean, what is it?
Anything near that? I'm not touching that with a 10-foot
Fair enough.
pole.
Or a sword,
or
as it
cane.
turns out.
Just not.
You're not gonna tan that hide.
Nope.
No, sir. But so he had his two sons kill a bunch more people at two different houses too, and I guess this was to send a message, so to speak. And so this killing in the night, I mean, they were fun for John. He was, it's like, finally I get to kill some people that own slaves. Like, this is what I want to do. But it didn't really have the oomph that he desired. It wasn't, and, to be in serious terms, it was not going to end slavery, just randomly killing people with swords in the middle of the night in Kansas. Right. Astute observation from John. And so, but it got his name out there. And so people were like, this John Brown guy, wow, okay, he's doing big things. And it led him to start putting plans into motion for the big raid on Harper's Ferry, which we'll get into in part 2 in the conclusion of John Brown, Abolitionist, OG. John, your thoughts. I mean, you share the name.
I know. I always get kind of mixed up when you say like Big John, and then it's about that guy.
Well, I started trying to say Big John Brown, but then I kept forgetting.
Got it. That makes sense. But anyway, this guy I don't think he just doesn't get talked about enough, which I think is weird. Like he did some shitty things, but he also did some great things. I mean, it's just weird that and you could say that about like the founding fathers too. Like great things, awful things, right?
Yeah.
But they get talked about all the time. Like they get shit like made after them, but like not him.
But I would argue that John Brown, I think his moral compass was ultimately
better than,
in the right direction.
Yeah, it was better than the founding fathers. I mean, that's
absolutely, yeah. Well, and because they owned slaves, and John Brown would have fucking hated them.
Yeah, dude, he would have caned them.
He would have caned the shit.
Actually, that's not true.
Yeah,
he would have let his kids cane him and then fired in the head.
Yeah. He would have been dead on the floor and just like popped a 22 and I'm like, yep, he's dead. All right.
Jesus.
I think you're right. I don't think he gets talked about enough because really, I mean, no, did he end slavery himself? No, but I think he sowed the seeds of rebellion and laid the foundation for the Civil War. Again, not a historian. I'm sure people are listening to this. They'll correct me on many things. But
Sure.
consequential.
Again, I'm sure there's stuff that we're not talking about. I'm sure like maybe there's even like worse stuff where we're like that we should know about him, but we're just pointing out some of the highlights. This is his highlight reel. Like this is if he was trying to go to the NFL. We're just watching, the scouting report.
That's right. Yeah. And then you can, and exactly. And you watch the scouting report, and then you make your own judgment. Do you want to make him an offer? Do you want to, you want to make him a free agent offer? I don't know. I don't know how this shit works. I don't watch sports.
Yeah, sports. We
Football,
like sports, and we don't care who knows.
Yeah.
Song.
That's our theme song for this show.
It's Beautiful Big John.
Chuck doesn't. Are you doing one, by the way?
Yeah, I'll just do one quick. I feel weird not doing one.
That was a part 1. Yeah, it's kind of like getting dressed without pants.
True.
That was part 1 of John Brown, Big John Brown. We'll be back with part 2. Maybe we'll release it as a full episode. Maybe we'll release it as something else. Who knows? So.